Hi, I'm Venus O'Hara and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be talking about sacred sexuality and spirituality, and that's because that is the topic of my latest podcast episode where I interview a spiritual guide who is Susan Morgan Taylor. So I wanted to advertise that episode a little bit and to talk about this topic because I think it's a very interesting topic. It's actually the topic that intrigues me the most lately as far as sexuality is concerned. Also, I wanted to make a video because one of my old videos is going viral, so I have to kind of feed the algorithm a little bit. And yes, so sacred sexuality and spirituality. But let me start with religion. I was brought up Catholic, so my sex education was very limited. It consisted of 2 hours in total. It was very limited. That's limited is just an understatement. And the real focus of it was about puberty, really, and how babies are made. And that was it, really. And it was always, they just spoke about a context of marriage, and there was no mention of safe sex, contraception, condoms, or anything like that. So I felt that my sex education was incomplete, to say the least. And I was very aware of the things that were missing because I was reading a magazine in the UK in the 90s called Just 17 and later on More, which those two magazines were really the source of my sex education. And I was so curious about finding out about sexuality. I think it was like, because you're not supposed to talk about it, that made it even more alluring, especially in a context where my former therapist used to tell me that I come from silence. So now I've kind of escaped the silence and I'm speaking about sexuality, and I think that's probably what attracts me to this topic so much. But going back to sex in religion, it was I used to think that if a family had 2 children, that meant they'd had sex twice. I had no idea about how these things worked. I just thought it was automatic. Penetration means pregnancy and a baby, etc. But obviously with time and experience and learning, and then I learned it wasn't like that at all. But yeah, definitely. So we were taught that sex before marriage is a sin, and pleasure. What's that? It's just all about procreation, really. I had different ideas, of course. And so for a long time I kind of rejected that idea of sexuality, and then I rejected my religion as well. In a similar time to that song, Losing My Religion, that was kind of part of my teen years by REM. But then more recently, and since 2017, I have been experiencing a more spiritual approach to life, and that includes everything in life, including sexuality. And it's taken me into a whole new learning of sexuality. And I think sometimes spirituality and religion have some similarities, but as far as sex is concerned, I think it's a very different way. I think it's more about divine connection. And it's kind of strange because I always felt this kind of higher purpose of sexuality that went beyond physical pleasure. Even before I was spiritual, I just didn't have the words to articulate it, but now I do. It's like divine connection. So I think it's really interesting how sexuality, or the act of sex, can be a celebration of spirituality and a celebration of union, and really exploring with someone that goes beyond the procreation missionary of trying to make a baby, but really trying to connect with yourself, with your partner, and with a higher being. And that's the kind of sexuality that I find really exciting right now, because I think there's another podcast guest that I interviewed, Molly and Joe. They have this amazing book called Wild Monogamy, and they talk about 4 areas of sexuality. For example, there is the physical, there is the emotional, the heart space, there is the intellectual, and there's the soul, the spirit, which is, and if you can kind of connect with someone on those levels, it's a very special connection. I've never really been into just physical encounters just with bodies. I've always thought that was a bit empty. That's not to say that it's a bad thing. I think everyone lives their sexuality in the way they want, but you can have an experience with another body, but have this divine happening within you and with a higher being as well. I think I definitely believe that. But it's all comes down to intention at the end of the day. Another thing I've always said in my content, that I really do believe that good sex is 95% energy and 5% technique. I mean, technique is important to some degree, but let's imagine someone just touches your shoulder, someone you don't like, it will make you go, ooh, get off me. But if it's someone you really like, that could be electrifying. It could be very, very, very special. So I'm kind of interested in that kind of energetic area of sexuality that's kind of a non-physical, and it's a great primer for the physical. It makes every touch mean so much. Oh my god, that rhymes. Yeah, so I speak about this more in detail in my podcast episode, Sacred Sexuality and Spirituality, if you are interested in it, and please check it out. I'm going to leave the link below. And in this episode, so I give a bit of a monologue on my opinions on that, similar to this but a bit different. I interview a spiritual guide who's also a sexual wellness expert, and I talk about a book. Which book was it? I can't remember now. Oh yeah, The Magic of Thinking Big, which I think I already spoke about on this channel. And then it ends with some sexual wellness, sacred sexuality affirmations as well. Yeah, so I think this is a very interesting area to explore with a partner. It's an incredible expression of love, and love for yourself, love for your partner, and love for the divine, and love for life. Yeah, I really believe that sex is life. And I interviewed someone else today for my podcast, and we were just talking about how this, the topic that shapes the world, that makes the reason why we're all here, why is it so forbidden? It's crazy. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm going back for more videos. I'm trying to have a think about what kind of content I want to make. I'm going to be continuing with the sex toy reviews, but I'm really passionate about personal development, spirituality. I'm trying to frame a kind of how to approach that in my content as well. So yeah, when I think about that, I'm going to come back with more and more frequently. But if you have any suggestions for me, don't hesitate to contact me at venus@venushara.org, and I'll see you very soon. Mwah! Thanks for watching, and check out the podcast link below, The Orgasmic Lifestyle.